But if they were to replace the ticket immediately, swiftly, and then start moving on and be like, this is the new party, this is the new modus operandi, and they have solid messaging around it, and there's clarity, that's very different than like at the end of August, still not having a candidate. We're going to be talking about Brandon. We're going to be doing Brandon Watch, okay? It's Brandon Watch time, baby. Sorry, don't give a shit about Donald Trump speaking, okay?
Dozens of vulnerable Democrats are now calling on Biden to drop out of the race, fearing his support will affect them in their hotly contested down-ballot races. So let's take a look at who's pulling back from Joe Biden. These are the 34 congressional Democrats who have joined those calls, some of the most notable being Congressman Adam Schiff of California recently calling for Joe Biden to step aside. Also, Montana Senator John Tester yesterday, and vulnerable...
Bro, wait, Hasan, not a political commentator? Why are mods saying you shouldn't cover politics? Brother, I don't know if you know this, but, like, there is no one on the planet that talks as much about politics professionally as I do. Like, you think Jake Tapper is just, after he's done with the, like, maximum 3 hours a day of his, like, political coverage 4 times a week, you think he's like being demanded to talk about politics 24/7? I'm a one-man news room, basically. You understand? Not everybody in this community also comes in for like nothing but politics. There's plenty of other shit. I do variety streaming, okay? I'm live 7 days a week. I talk about politics every single day. This week I've done like 10-hour streams back to back to back, 11-hour streams, 12-hour streams. Sometimes I'm going to, you know, take it down a gear. All right. I'm a human being. Just if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Give it a shot. If you don't like the basketball talk, or if you don't enjoy the drama and all the other stuff around, like, you know, collaborations and whatnot, then you don't have to watch it. Right? Anyway, let's get back to Obama, or Biden calling Obama a puppet master. That's the drama that we're going to be talking about.
Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown announced that he wants to see the end of the campaign for Joe Biden as president. Now, these are some of the Democrats who haven't yet joined those colleagues, but they could make a huge difference in the landscape given how competitive their reelection bids are. We're watching Pennsylvania Senator Bob Casey, Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin, and Nevada Senator Jackie Rosen. All major swing state Democrats, and they would need to win in those states to secure the White House in November, both to maintain control of the Senate, try to win the House, and to win the White House. Let's bring in Rich Lowry, editor-in-chief of National Review, to join us now. Rich, good morning. Thanks for getting up early with us this morning. You know, I'm cataloging all these Democrats, Rich, that are starting to put their name on the list of those against Joe Biden. Do you think there's a breaking point? Is there one particular congressional Democrat that could make or break this decision for Joe Biden?
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. I think she's been the main driver here. When it seemed as though Biden had stanched the bleeding a couple days after the debate by just saying, I'm not going, the elite's against me, forget it. She said, well, he hasn't decided yet, right? Which was her saying, you know what, Mr. President, you haven't decided until I decide that you've decided. So I think she kept this open. I think she's pushing it. I think she realizes he's a disaster. And the stages are, Will, first they went Schumer, Pelosi, Jeffries privately to Biden and basically told him to go. Then they leaked. When he didn't go, then they leaked that they told him to go. And the next step is one of them going public. And that's when it really may be unsustainable. But I would expect, you know, the frontline Democrats that you're talking about, all those dominoes seem to be falling. I mean, it's very notable. Sherrod Brown, no one's fool. You got to be pretty shrewd Democrat to survive in Ohio now, saying, look, Joe, this just isn't sustainable.
Well, Rich, even if Pelosi or Schumer or Jeffries goes public, that's the next card to play. And then reports are that Barack Obama is doing things behind the scenes. I think the question becomes, though, even with all of that, Rich, is it enough? Because it is Joe Biden's call. The reports are he gets sort of his hackles up. He gets upset if you push him. So can he withstand all this pressure?
I mean, if he wants to, in theory, yes, right? I mean, there's no lever. You can just say no. But this is a big game of chicken, and it has been since the debate, Will, with Biden saying, you know, I'm just going to plow ahead. And if you want to kneecap me in public, you're just making your inevitable nominee weaker against Donald Trump, this guy you hate and fear. So you better just get on board because I'm plowing ahead. And then with the Democratic Party saying, you know what, even if you say you're still running, we're going to make it a worthless nomination for you because we're going to publicly condemn you. The fundraising is going to dry up. The activists are going away. So you can say you're still running, Joe, but it'd be worthless to you. And I do think the Democratic Party seems to be winning that game of chicken at the moment. This nomination is a wasting asset for him every single day. It gets just a little bit less valuable with every public condemnation and the reports that the fundraising is drying up.
So really quickly, I got to go, Rich. More likely prediction. Kamala Harris is the nominee for Democrats, or Joe Biden limps across with a defunded, unsupported presidential campaign?
As of this moment, I would bet on Kamala Harris.
All right. Rich Lowry, National Review.
Yeah, I think it's pretty Nancy. There's reporting right now on Nancy Pelosi saying that she'd be up for an open contest, an open convention. And I think that is genuinely a devastating idea. I don't think it's a good idea at all. Pelosi voicing support for an open nomination process if Biden drops out. It quite literally immediately proves what AOC was saying about the Democrats not having like a clear-eyed vision on a swift replacement. Some California House Democrats don't want the process to replace the president on the ticket to seem like a Kamala Harris coronation. And I think that that is a genuinely bad idea. I mean, it's good for content. It's good for content. Like, it's good for me from the content brain. But I think it's very bad overall for the Democratic Party's future prospects in this upcoming election. I think that that spells chaos. It spells disorder. There is no world in which the entire American voter public that is like interested in voting turns around and says like, yeah, I like that the Democratic Party, which are supposed to be the adults in the room, cannot get their ducks in a row, cannot get their shit in order before the goddamn convention. You know, I said this earlier, but when Biden held a rally in Michigan, Whitmer was off meeting with big dem tech donors. I think they're trying to push out Harris in favor of Whitmer. I mean, I don't know if it's the best possible idea. This CNN article quotes you as a Democratic operative. Fuck it, I'm coconut pilled. I just want this to stop, said one well-known Democratic operative, referring to an online meme that is taken off from an old video. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? No, chat, that's not me. They did not ask me, okay? This is an anonymous quote from a Dem operative that is well known. Why would they put me down as a Dem operative? Why would I give an anonymous quote? Your confidence in Kamala seems wild, to be honest. What Americans want is a new ticket. They want someone they can be happy with, and that will never be Kamala. Kamala is new. Kamala is young. Given the, if Kamala has a solid team around her, which she currently doesn't, with good messaging, you absolutely could make a decent job out of Kamala Harris. She's 59. Yeah, guys, we're talking about the president. She's 32 years younger than the current person on the ticket. She is one Hasanabi. She is one Hasanabi or away. Or not 32, sorry. 22. You're right. 2/3 Hasanabi away. One Black Boy Max younger. I feel like you're radically overvaluing Kamala and undervaluing the interest of chaos. No. The benefits of having more attention and more eyeballs on an open convention do not outweigh the consequences of having an open convention. So you're wrong. Like, if you guys think this is chaotic, an open convention where like everyone is talking about, oh my God, the Democrats finally got their wishes. They finally got Joe Biden out, but now they can't even have a consensus candidate. That is real chaos. You have not seen real chaos until you see what that looks like in the media. That plays itself out. That plays itself out as like total disorder, okay? Full tilt. Right now, there is like a little bit of will he, won't he situation. There's a little bit of interest, okay? But if they were to replace the ticket immediately, swiftly, and then start moving on and be like, this is the new This is the new party. This is the new modus operandi. We're going to go in a, we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to take Joe Biden's vision and legacy, and we're going to take it across the finish line, and we're going to do even more than we did before. And they have solid messaging around it, and there's clarity, okay? And there is confidence. That's very different than like literally in the middle of August, at the end of August, still not having a candidate. I think that it is like, I think that absolutely rips away the final, like the limited amount of confidence that people might have that the Democratic Party is still like, doing the right thing and are the adults in the room. Because you have to remember, the Democratic Party being the adults in the room is the number one benefit that they have over the Republicans. The Republicans are always chaotic. The Republicans are basically violent in their legislative agenda. But also beyond that, they can't figure out which direction they want to go in. Some of them try to be more moderate. Others are openly being contentious and openly being aggressive towards women's bodily autonomy in ways that remind people that they took away abortion, So people look to the Democratic Party as the party that's going to defend democracy. People look to the Republican Party as the party, whether good or bad, as the party that's going to do their willing, okay? Do their bidding, and follow through on their agenda, no matter how chaotic and undemocratic that agenda might be. Absolute brain dead takes. Biden dropping out now is literally handing Trump the election. So dumb. Absolutely zero evidence beyond this. Just simply coming in here with a little bit of heat and just dropping that in here. Like you just came in here with zero analysis and just vibes, okay? Just came in here hot and was like, no, you don't understand. The 82-year-old that everyone understands is brain capacity is deteriorated is actually the best possible person. If they do a quick swap out, it won't work, dude. Nah, dude, f that. You're so stupid. But thank you. Thank you for your input. What about the 13 keys, professor? Stop, dude, please. Are you guys joking? Is this a 3-minute ad break debate? Is that what it is? Is that what's happening? Sad but sleepy. Thank you for the 5 community gifted subs, allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads. Bolshevik 98. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs as well. Top of the coconut. Yeah. Well, top of the hour. It is coconut time. Just kidding. It's 3-minute ad break time. Sad but sleepy. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. Kamala Harris also brings back certain demographics immediately in the question. Like, the average American doesn't think as much as you guys do about politics. That's something you have to remember. I love this chatter. Said, F the commies. And the average Gen Zer even is going to be like, oh yeah, that's a younger person. I'm interested. I'm invested. That's why I say what Kamala Harris does, if she is appointed as the nominee, is very important in terms of messaging. Very, very important in terms of messaging. Because like when people are locked in and they go, oh, this is a new fresh face. This is a more vibrant candidate, is a more dynamic candidate. Then she has to play that part. Then she has to play that role. If she's barred out like she's been goofing around the entire time for the past 4 years, then it's going to be harder. Easier than Joe Biden, but hard nonetheless. Because every single person that is polling for Biden right now, in every single poll that is being conducted, is going to vote for whoever the blue person is, because their motivations for voting for Biden is not because they love Biden. Their motivations for voting for Biden, as demonstrated by those exact same polls, is that they don't want Donald Trump. That ambition was alive and well in 2020, and it certainly is alive and well in the 2024 election. We know that. We've seen it. Every poll shows that reality. So no matter what, no matter who is at the top of that ticket, they have all of Biden's votes that they will secure, and plus some more on top of that. This is the calculation that I'm making. The calculation I'm making is that there are no Biden or busters in the same way that there were Bernie or busters, right? Even though those were marginal as well. This is the part where libs say you can't trust the polls. I know. If you believe that, why not have an open convention? Oh, I've told you already. The reason why I don't think an open convention is a smart idea is because then you actually do have some people who are like, well, I'm a loyalist for Newsom. It's kind of like this. Twitch streamers know not to poll which game to play next. And they just play it and they say, hey, if you like it, you watch. If you don't like it, you don't. Why? Because if you poll which game you want to play next, you will lose more people, because the people that really wanted you to play one game will just, out of anger, not watch the other game. Okay? Not everyone, but a lot of people will turn around and go, oh, well, I voted for this game and now you're playing a different game. And you know what? Maybe I would have watched it, but I kind of don't want to watch that game that you're playing now. But beyond that, I'm trying to explain it to Twitch watchers as best as I can. But more importantly than that, I think that an open convention is dangerous an open convention is specifically dangerous because it shows that there is no consensus. Like right now, Biden wants confidence from his party, and his party is not showing him confidence because they're seeing the polls. Okay? Biden is also relying on being able to get to the convention. True, democracy is always a bad idea. No, democracy comes after in the general election in this circumstance, but even then it's not a real democracy. I'm just telling you guys, if you want my analysis on this, an open convention, and by the way, democracy is always a bad idea. What the fuck are we talking about? In a lot of instances, democracy unironically is a bad idea. Here, I'll give you another Twitch example, okay? Chatters don't know what content is. Chatters all have their own opinion on what is good content, which is precisely the reason why when we go to the chat and we ask chat like what I should do, chatters will be like, oh, don't do this thing. Don't debate Andrew Tate. It's not going to be good content. They're wrong. They're just wrong. Sometimes it's good to steer the conversation in a direction that you know is adequate, is good, it's best, in order to max out the fun. Okay? Yeah. If I were to leave it up to chat, half the chat would be like, please watch this 7-hour documentary on the theory behind Maoist third worldism. Okay? Do you want that? Is that what you want? Oh, Saturday fun day. Time to watch a 3-hour documentary on Maoist Liberation Front. Sometimes it's good to limit the options, okay? And then go, what do you want? Anyway, having said that, the Democrats already did that in the primaries. They stopped the primary process from actually occurring by literally making sure that no one else in the Democratic Party that had any viability ran against Joe Biden, because they didn't want Joe Biden to go out and have to campaign in the primaries. They thought that he would be weaker as a consequence of that. They thought that people would hear him and go, oh shit, he's old. That's precisely the reason why they already shut down the democracy part. Okay? As vice president, I see Joe Biden when the cameras are on and when the cameras are off, in the Oval Office, in the Situation Room, and on the campaign trail. Joe Biden is a leader who fights for the American people. More examples of holy shit, he ain't going to recover, and each bad example just compounds exponentially. Yes. So what ended up happening is, in this dog shit primary season, when there was like no real primary, everyone was like, all right, well, Joe Biden's the candidate. Okay. Open convention is the best to restore trust in the sections of the voter base, like Hispanics, young people, industrial belt. None of these people are coming out because, wow, she's younger than Joe Biden. She's being thrown into a defeat with no plan. No, the reason why I think Kamala Harris is like the swift replacement ticket is because it buys time to retriangulate the messaging around her. Okay. Because again, time is of the essence in this circumstance. Like making sure that you have time is of the essence in this situation. Every moment is going to count, which is why Biden should have dropped out far before this moment. Okay. I'm not saying Kamala's chances are an absolute lock. I'm simply stating that Kamala's chances are better than Biden's. And given that this is a close contest right now, that's good enough and with only upsides. Having said that, however, if Kamala Harris is the swift replacement and then she sucks, then obviously that equation changes. Open contest, open convention, on the other hand, will create a panic environment, will show that the Democrats do not have a good lineage, like a good lineup, a good succession protocol. You will have people with their own dogs in the fight. You will have people that will at a moment when, the Democratic Party needs to be united, you will have people fighting against one another openly. The media will love the drama. Cenk disagrees with you on this. I know. I think he'll come around to this. Cenk has been right about the obvious need to replace Joe Biden because he's so old. Just like I was right on that front. Cenk and I have a disagreement on the open primaries. I think not open primaries, open convention. We have a difference in opinion on that front, but it doesn't matter. I'm telling you what my position is on the matter. Democrats, the Democratic Party's number one benefit over the Republican Party right now is that they're supposed to be the adults in the room. The Republicans are divided. The Republicans are chaotic. The Republicans spell disorder. They're led by a guy who wants to be a dictator. These are all of the concerns that the voters have about the Republican Party, and that's why they say they're never going to vote for Donald Trump. If Democrats give up on that, if Democrats basically cast that aside, okay, if they just drop that, then they have nothing. They just have abortion. That's it. And as time passes, less and less people remember abortion and how Republicans took that away. I don't think Kamala Harris is the best possible replacement. You guys know who I think is a better replacement than Kamala Harris. I've said Gretchen Whitmer. I think J.B. Pritzker would be fine. I think there are better Democrats out there. Okay? I do. They have proven track records. They're very popular, and they could captivate the Rust Belt. Having said that, however, Kamala Harris already being on the ticket plays a major role in this situation because it's a way to basically say, well, Joe Biden, this is the person that you chose to replace you. This is the person that you said would be great as president. That's why you made her your vice president. It's a way to also save the Democratic Party's attitude, because then you can just simply say, no, you don't understand. Joe Biden always knew that Kamala Harris would be a phenomenal president, and that's why he chose her as his VP. This is a way to continue the legacy of Joe Biden and the legacy of the past 4 years and the policies of the past 4 years. Now, obviously, you and I might not agree with that narrative. What legacy? Who gives a shit? Joe Biden. But that makes a coherent replacement narrative that you can set, that you can campaign on. Random person coming in at the last second, on the other hand, makes it seem like maybe Joe Biden's legacy is dog shit. And then people go, well, why the fuck why am I voting for the Democrats again then? Because the past 4 years, they just sucked then, I guess. They don't even have any confidence in their own administration. Why the fuck should I have confidence in them? Electoral politics, braindass. My job is to do this, okay? This is my job. Yes, if you're not invested at all, and if you don't care, and you're like, oh, it's just a bourgeois democracy, who gives a fuck? Both parties represent the interests of the wealthy. I agree with you. But this isn't for you then. You know what I mean? This is not analysis that you should be even interested in remotely, because it won't move the needle for you anyway, right? But what I'm doing here is for a much larger audience of people who do care about it, who do care about elections. And of course, I'm going to be covering and I'm going to give you my analysis on the election during the election cycle. That would be crazy. Question to you, awesome person. What's more important to Biden, the Democratic Party's wins or to protect his ego? Right now, it's to protect his ego. Cenk on the open convention. Who want me? No, 100%. No, that's not correct. Okay? You can't come at Unc like that. Okay? Unc was 100% right. He never said that he was running because he thought he would win. He said that he was running for two reasons. One, because he thinks it's dog shit that you can be a naturalized U.S. citizen and then still not be able to, run for president. But more importantly than that, his major role was because he thought, perhaps foolishly, that if he got any votes whatsoever, he could possibly get other actually viable candidates to run against Joe Biden, because he thought Joe Biden is far too old and the voters are going to recognize it. And that the things that we are experiencing right now, the things that we're watching, the things that we're talking about that literally came true were his predictions. So I think it's unfair to say, oh, Unc, he was just running because he thought he's delusional and he thought he can win. He never thought that. And he was pretty open about that as well, for the record. So anyway, yeah, analysis was correct, but execution was not. And it was a Hail Mary attempt with a low chance of success. Doesn't matter. He put his balls on the table. Okay. He did. He put himself out there, and he got, thoroughly embarrassed by a lot of people. But ultimately, he was 100% right. He was 100% right on the analysis. And that's what matters. He's a political commentator. Okay? It's just, that's it.
Begin this half hour with our political rundown. Our White House correspondent, Mary.
Women voters won't forget the GOP stripping their rights, dumbass. Oh, that's so cute and wonderful that you're saying that, because women voters are currently voting for the Democratic Party by lower margins than male voters are voting for the Republican Party. So I guess they might have forgotten. Don't come in here with this stupid ass narrative if you have no goddamn poll data to back up your statements, okay? White women voted for Donald Trump both times, okay? That's the majority of women in this country. 60% of the country is white. More than 60% of the country is white. 52% of white women voted for Donald Trump. That's a lot of people. No, not 60% of white women, 52% of white women.
Alice Parks and contributing political correspondent Rachel Bade are joining us from Washington this morning. Good morning.
Majority of the poll data is absolute garbage and biased anyway. Let's be real. Anyway, okay. Anyway. Yeah, polls are fake. You're a nerd for caring about it. Except, you know what's real? There's never an alternative, by the way. Like, it is the most reliable data available. There's nothing else. So I hate when people just go, polls are bullshit. Remember 2016 when you're right, that was the last time polls were bullshit. But like since then, everyone always goes, polls are fake. You know what's reliable? I don't know. Nothing. They never have an alternative to draw from. They just go, polls are fake, and then that's it. There's a lot of data about people hating both parties too, and that candidates are subpar that would like an open convention. Do you think that people will act like they're on Twitter on live TV? Is there data on the people not voting for Biden or blue, no matter who you are looking for, the adults in the room? You said so many things that I'm so confused by this statement. Maybe my brain is not processing well enough, but I don't understand what you just said. Like, I have no idea what you just said. You just yapped a little bit. You are discounting the effect of content. The straight week of news coverage that would result from an open convention would generate levels of excitement for Democrats not seen since 2020. Having even a facsimile of democracy after such dogshit primary would be refreshing and allow Palestine to rise to the forefront of the issues, especially with the march on the DSC right outside. You're delusional. Oh, I think that I have too many anarchists in this community. Like you said, Palestine would be on the forefront of the issues. Like, that's like fan fiction beyond comprehension. Israel has killed 40,000 Palestinians minimum, okay, in the past 10 months. And Gaza is important for key demographics, the youth vote, and specifically in Michigan, right? That's very important. That's very, very important. Yes, the Lancet study's estimation is 186,000, but you guys don't know what that number actually represents. It is not 187,000 right now. You didn't even look at the Lancet's. You didn't even look at the Lancet paper. You're just repeating it because you saw the headline. Shut up. Okay. Long term, 186,000 is a conservative estimate for long-term deaths as a consequence of Israel's campaign in Gaza. Okay. It's an estimation, a conservative estimation, but that's it. It's an estimation. Stop trying to correct me every time I say a number. I know what I'm talking about. Yes, it's indirect deaths. It's indirect deaths. I know. Lancet is not a bad journal. It's a great journal. You're wrong about that, though. If you don't disregard polls, why are you disregarding Kamala's terrible approval rating like Biden's? Great question. Kamala Harris's approval rating is VP approval rating. If the P approval rating is low, the VP approval rating is going to be low as well. Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket is an opportunity to completely change the agenda, or rather to refocus the attention at the presidential candidate, Kamala Harris. And by the way, Kamala Harris ran a dog shit primary campaign, if you guys remember. Okay? The American people want someone who's not Donald Trump who can speak. I think that Kamala Harris is not Donald Trump and she can speak. That's it.
To you both. Mary Alice, let's start with you. And the pressure on President Biden is growing for him to step aside. When does a decision need to be made here?
Technically, not until the delegates vote. I mean, Democrats' convention is August 19th in Chicago. Many states have deadlines where names have to be formally submitted for ballots to be printed the days or even the day after the convention. So Democratic lawyers...
That's the other thing. It's like if there is a contested convention, like it can run beyond the dates of the convention too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Kamala is also more popular than Joe Biden, which is not saying much because Biden is underwater. Kamala's disapproval is at 50%, approvals at 38.6. Biden's disapproval is at 56%, approvals at 38.5. A YouGov poll conducted more Democrats and independents who lean Democrat prefer Biden over Harris as the nominee, 47 to 32, while 21% said they weren't sure. Margin of error, 4%. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, this is the reason why I said that the replacement must be swift, and then Kamala Harris has to start campaigning like a demon. I was curious, so here's Trump. Yeah, Trump has 38.6% approval, 57.9% disapproval. Are you getting a press pass for the DNC? Yeah. One reason I doubt there will be a mini primary now is that I don't think one of the other major candidates would run. There's not enough time for them to win support. The process would be too unclear. Party is too exhausted. Harris looks too strong. People shouldn't underestimate how closely party elites have been watching her these last few weeks and how much she shifted opinions in her favor. You might get some token opposition from people who want to raise their profiles, do CNN town halls, etc., which could be good for Harris because her win would be both contested and overwhelming, but strongly doubt you'd get Newsom. Whitmer already said she won't run. Shapiro, Bashar, etc. Safer for them to position VP for 2028. Those are last term's poll numbers. 53.9%. He's plus 12% unfavorable. His favorability is at 41.5. His unfavorability is at 53.9. If Biden had stepped aside weeks ago, it might have been different. If Jamie Harrison had been thinking through options rather than making himself a Biden no matter what guy, maybe it would have been different. But that's my read of where the party is now. Caveats, everything is fluid. Biden might still refuse to step aside if Harris falters. That could change sentiment, etc. Do I really think Harris can beat Trump? I think, depending on how this campaign restructures itself and how it messages going forward, yes. Yes, I do. There are so many factors at play, obviously. There are so many factors at play. Who her vice presidential pick is, because people will care about that this time around. Okay? Perhaps a little bit more than they normally would, because this is a unique predicament. Like, all of the polling being conducted right now is being conducted as Biden is refusing to step down. All of the polling being conducted right now is being conducted at a time when Kamala Harris's approval rating is still tied to the president, okay? Which is why it's lower than it would be. Like, if she's the governor of her own state, then her approval rating would be unimaginably high. This does not reflect the presidential ticket at all. It's like looking at Gretchen Whitmer's approval rating currently and then comparing it to Kamala Harris. It's like, no, that's her own person. That's being analyzed by herself. Kamala Harris as the VP, which is a less significant, which is basically a secondary to the actual administration. If the administration is actually unpopular, then yeah, obviously Kamala Harris is going to be seen as unpopular as well. What do you think of the earned free media coverage value will be if it's a totally new ticket? It's going to be insane value. The adults in the room, Meta is no longer in the room with us, I'm afraid. No, I think that is the most important part about it, because you can still message around like, we got together and we did the right thing. Joe Biden is actually, Joe Biden actually came to this on his own because he's an adult and he wants to save democracy. And that's why he knows he's fully confident in Kamala Harris. That's why he chose Kamala Harris as his vice president 4 years ago. Like, that completely takes the conversation, that completely destroys the narrative. Like, oh, Democrats are so chaotic. They're so crazy. They don't know what the they're doing.
I've talked to say that they know they could still face some challenges if Biden were to drop out, because primaries have already happened. But as long as something is done by that convention, they feel okay. Now, of course, we know the Democratic Party is considering this potential virtual roll call. Actually, the first week of August, delegates would vote ahead of time. They're going to finalize those plans next week. So if they don't move that virtual roll call, then I think that really becomes the deadline. No one wants to fight after delegates have voted. But look, that's sort of the legal, formal side. Politically, I would say something has to budge this week. I mean, this staring contest between Biden, between the Biden campaign and leaders in his own party is not sustainable. It is now clear that Democratic leaders on Capitol Hill are actually seeking a change. It's too much for Biden to ignore.
And Rachel, let's bring you in now. We just heard Mary Alice say something has to budge this week. We know dozens of Democratic lawmakers have already called for Biden to leave the ticket. What are you hearing about that? Is the president taking these calls seriously? Is he considering this?
I mean, well, he certainly should be. 35 lawmakers are now on record calling for him to step aside, and more than a dozen of those actually just came out in the last 24 hours, suggesting that the momentum is very much moving against him. But I would just tell you that more than the numbers, more important than the numbers, is actually what's going on behind the scenes, this sort of unprecedented lobbying campaign by Biden's own allies in Congress who want him to go. It has basically become this staring contest and battle of wills between President Biden and Nancy Pelosi, the former speaker. She's the one who's sort of organizing behind the scenes, sort of rallying members who are concerned about Biden to come out publicly and put pressure on him behind the scenes. So, you know, these two were originally allies for a long time, and now I have been told by one of her closest folks in her inner circle that the speaker does not want to call on Biden to resign, but she will do everything in her power to make sure it happens.
All right, and Mary Alice, you were in Milwaukee at the Republican National Convention this week, selling their platform to voters. That was their goal. So did they do it?
Most of the week, I felt so. I mean, the momentum was there. People were excited about the pick of J.D. Vance for the running mate. They were focused on the issues. They were talking about crime and fentanyl and Israel. I mean, schools, these are issues that matter to voters. The momentum really fell out with Trump's own speech. I mean, I think that was a missed opportunity. He could have spiked the football. I mean, we are talking about Democrats in disarray. We know voters are concerned about Biden. I mean, the former president survived an assassination attempt. That rallies, of course, people to his side.
That's so
and we
funny.
thought it was going to be a different kind of speech. We thought he was going to really make an appeal to moderates, to independent voters. But after about the first 20 minutes, it was so clearly not that. I mean, he reverted back to his typical talking points. Incredibly offensive, flat out false language about immigrants. I mean, Americans care about the border, but when he veers into that level of conversation, talking about using the military for mass deportations, rounding up millions of people, retribution, dark language about the country, sweeping attacks on Democrats, it's frankly not the language that appeals to moderate or independent voters. There was very little policy discussion. So again, I think it was a missed opportunity on his part.
And Rachel, let's stay on Trump for a moment, because we know campaigns are not just built around the candidates, but also their opponents. So how are Republicans now responding to the Democrats' effort to push Biden out?
Well, look, Republicans actually want Biden to be atop the ticket because they think they can actually beat him and that he's the best person that they have the opportunity to take down. So you have two efforts sort of going on behind the scenes. Number one, you have this talk about suing to keep Biden on the ballots in these swing states. Republicans think that there are a number of local laws and regulations they can sort of look to, point to try to use the legal system to keep Biden atop the ballot.
That's weird. Perhaps that should be a inclination for those who are still holding out. I'm just saying. Perhaps any sound-minded person who wants the Democrats to win, or at least the Republicans to not win, would look at this motivation from the Republican Party and go, maybe the candidate is not the best possible candidate. You're kicking Joe Biden while he's bravely battling COVID? Yes, true. I am doing that. I don't care.
Even if he tries to step aside. And there's a second thing, too. They're doing a bunch of opposition research right now behind the scenes, just in case. I mean, you saw this happen a little bit at the convention this week. A lot of Republicans attacking Vice President Kamala Harris, just in case she's the person that ends up atop the ticket. But they're also looking into Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, and a few others, just in case. They're the ones who are going to be the folks they stand off with.
All right. Rachel Bade and Mary Alice Parks, thank you both so very much. Always appreciate your analysis here.
You said for 4 years Harris has no charisma. Do you really think she even has a chance against Trump? Wait, Kamala Harris has no charisma. You're not wrong. Having said that, however, you know who else has no charisma? Joseph Robinette Biden, who can't even speak clearly, and yet he's still in a 50-50 deadlock. So yeah, no, I think I'm going to take my chances with the person who can speak with no charisma versus the person who can't speak with no charisma.